Welcome back for another video. I'm Eharbad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. In today's video, I want to talk about the new Fusion champion. But before that, on the off chance anyone at Plarium is watching, I think it's a disgrace that you've put this new toxic dungeon as an advanced quest. I know you've done it to avoid a repeat of the Hydra debacle, where undoubtedly your analytics showed it as a complete and utter failure that it was. However, forcing your new players to decide between wasting energy on a terrible dungeon with toxic artifact ascension nonsense, or missing out on finishing their advanced quests, getting the energy refill and progressing towards that monthly legendary tome, making them choose is frankly appalling. If you want this rubbish in your game, at least make that quest level 80 minimum. I personally am avoiding the new dungeon as much as possible. I will use the free oil they gave us to complete those advanced quests until the oil runs out, and then I'll have to make a decision whether to participate in this new dungeon or miss out on the advanced quest rewards. Regarding the 2x 10x Sacred Shard event, I have skipped it. I want to make sure that I have enough shards for the Christmas Fusion and the next guaranteed champion as well. Whilst I'd love to have got Harima, the odds were simply too low. We all know that 10x means next to nothing, and since this 2x did not coincide with a fusion, I decided it was a good chance to skip and conserve shards. And on the hero's path, it seemed to me like a good way to get a tier 2 soul stone and 1 or 2 legendary tomes, depending on how much grinding you'll feel like doing. I certainly will pick up one, and probably both, to be honest. I have 5,000 points towards the first legendary tome, and then I'd need another 14,000 to get the second, and we still have 2.5 days. So I'll definitely get one of the legendary tomes, and we'll see how much effort it looks like for me to get the second. I don't think getting anything else makes any sense whatsoever. I think this is way overpriced for what it is, and I was not interested. Right, so let's talk about this fusion. Firstly, we'll go through the abilities here. We've got a triple hit A1. When booked, it's a 50% chance to place a bomb per hit. Effectively, this equates to an 87.5% chance to place at least one bomb, 91% if you're using the sniper mastery. The multipliers are good. This could be a fantastic boss killer A1. It's not very interesting in any other circumstances, but at least in theory it has viability. Onto the A2, we have an AoE 100% decrease attack with a very interesting decrease bomb debuff duration, increase poison debuff duration secondary mechanic. This is a great PvE ability, useful for all bosses and some wave clear content. The decreased bomb duration is critical for this champion to be usable in PvP, and as always, it really depends on the multipliers that we're going to see on this champion as to whether he will be viable in PvP. Onto the A3, we have an AoE with 2 bombs, which is pretty good start. We know Gaius hits really hard with his double bomb ability. In Gaius's instance, we are relying on that sleep to ensure that we get the bombs off without them being cleansed off. The fact that the A3 grants an extra turn is really what makes this champion. So if the multipliers are good, this ability in this champion is very strong. Effectively, without that extra turn, this champion would not be usable in PvP and would be somewhat lackluster in PvE. But purely by having that extra turn, we're able to cycle these abilities very quickly. We're able to ensure that we are getting those bombs away and then triggering them pretty quickly through the A2. Onto the passive, I think it's a really totally unique passive with huge potential. Another champion with a protected debuff is also very interesting. The 2 bombs that he'll place on the A3 will eventually be replaced with 4 poisons that cannot be cleansed. Is Plarium trying to find a use for Lethal Dose Blessing? Maybe. I still don't think you'll actually use it. And then the aura is a 30% attack all battles aura. It's all battles. it boosts the bomb damage. We can't complain. So overall, generally an attack-based champion are more difficult to solo content. The base stats tend to be more problematic, and skinwalkers, especially on the attack side, tend to have quite low natural effective HP. If we look at like Leorus or Fane or Brachus, the natural defensive stats are not great. So whilst I would say the champion has the skill kit to potentially be viable as a solo champion, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say that I doubt he'll have the raw stats to make that build viable without the absolute best of gear. Now, if we take a look through the various areas of the game, I think this champion will be superb in Faction Wars. He'll be a hard carry for DPS throughout, and critically brings decrease attack for the final boss. Poisons are protected, so that final boss on stage 21 can't debuff swap them back to you, which I think is a really interesting mechanic there for us. We're able to get those bombs onto the boss, ensure there's no opportunity for those bombs not to be triggered, and then they're replaced with irremovable poisons. So I think could be really interesting for speed farming Faction War Stage 21. Onto Doom Tower. I wonder if this champion can actually be used to destroy waves. In theory, with some moderate crowd control, it should be a huge carry for wave clear. You got big bomb damage and huge poisons. And of course, he should be a boss killer too. Bomble, watch out. With respect to the twins, I have a sneaky suspicion this champion could be used in some very fast clears. Huge damage potential. The multipliers, once again, are critical here, but I do think in twins, in one of those unkillable block damage teams, could be a really interesting damage dealer if you don't have Geomancer. Onto the dungeons. Ironically, I don't think he's an exciting prospect for dungeons. Likely will struggle to solo due to the low natural effective HP of the attack-based champions. He is the good affinity for Ice Golem 25 and Dragon 25, however, and obviously is bringing a triple hit A1 on Fire Knight. Once again, I think there is potential for some niche compositions where you will be able to get him going in speed clears and he will be a boss killer. But there are many other champions that are viable boss killers, so I wouldn't say that this is a role that he is unique in providing. Onto the clan boss, I think there's huge damage potential and decrease attack, once again. Someone could likely create a crazy team with him. The biggest caveat, however, I see is that the debuff bar will likely be capped out, and you're risking missing out on important debuffs. For that reason, he has to be marked down. I think it will be difficult to get a composition to line up effectively without risking that debuff bar overflowing. Onto Arena, again, he'll have niche use against stone skin heavy teams. However, due to the Duchess affinity, I feel if he had been Spirit affinity, it would have been better. Gaius is already there to take on the magic bomb role, and simply because Spirit is the negative affinity for this champion, it will be problematic going against those stone skin Duchess teams. Furthermore, he'll be hard to keep alive, as again is an attack-based champion with no natural damage mitigation. So he's likely to be a fun but inconsistent champion. With respect to Hydra, unfortunately too many heads are immune to poison. I wonder if protected HP burn would have been a better choice given the number of big poisoners out there, and the HP burn would have made this champion have huge potential in Hydra, whilst being just as useful elsewhere. And that's it, I've covered all the areas of the game. As far as I'm aware, there are no others. I'm not aware of there being any other dungeons to discuss. So overall, what can we say? The champion looks thoroughly unique, has huge potential. The base stats and multipliers are key, however. So fingers crossed it's a banger. I would say if you can get the champion, I would definitely recommend going for him. I think he'll provide really interesting options in many areas of the game. And it's always worth picking up champions that have extremely unique kits with one-of-a-kind abilities. The last thing I want to do before we end this video is jump in and do some soul summons. If we go to the Mystic Market, we've got quite a number to pull now, so I'm just going to have to create some space quickly. Actually, before we do that, I have bought Skull Lord at the from the Soul Merchant, so we've got a 1-star Skull Lord Vargal. Would be nice for our Hydra. We can use that 1-star Theodore I bought, was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago now? I think I've done enough videos with him unascended. That would be a good opportunity. And we can use the 4-star Cold Heart we got in the last video. I'll use that to awaken a second Cold Heart. Now, like I said, let me just quickly create some space and then we'll get on with it. Right then, with space made, let's summon 40 of the Mortal Soul Stones and see if we get lucky. So let's see what we get. Nothing useful so far. Other epic, not one that I even have. That's a pretty disappointing 10 pull there. We'll go on to the next one. As always, I never expect anything, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get something usable. Ultan don't have. Other legendary that I don't have. We're having a good record of just picking up a lot of legendaries that I simply don't own. It's mostly we pull legendaries that I don't own. And more relatively useless ones. At least Runekeeper, I actually have him and I use him in Faction Wars, so that's something. A 2-star legendary that I don't have. Kel Supplice. And I think this is probably the last 10. I mean, why would you ever buy these packs? The RNG is atrocious. At least with regular shards, there's a certain degree of return coming in, but like these soul stones are just awful. And let's summon this tier 2 that we got from Hero's Path. It's rare. It's a Grave Chill, rank 3. And to think Plarium would charge you good money to get one of those. So we can awaken our Burgoth at 2-star. We can awaken our Grush at 4-star. Awaken that Sepulchre Sentinel. Awaken that Runekeeper, get our refund. We're still keeping those 2 6-star souls, Sky Touched and Scathix. I probably will awaken Sky Touched. Actually, it's 5-star on Sky Touched. I probably will Sky Touched. I feel like she has enough use in the game that it's worth doing. I'm still undecided whether to use the 6-star on Scathix. So let's just go ahead. Will 5-star awaken Sky Touched. Alright, so I think that is going to be all for this video. Thank you for watching this far. Hopefully you're still awake. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.